Welcome to my Christmas Decor home tour for 2024 from Chesapeake, Virginia. Most of my Christmas decorations have a vintage flair. Many of them belonged to my beloved grandmother, Nanny, and some I have collected. This church was my grandmother's. It reminded her of her parish in Portsmouth, Virginia, called St. Paul's, probably bought in the 1950s. It is plastic and lights up. This is our family room, and I tried to film when it was dusky so that you could enjoy the lights. That vintage Santa was my maternal grandmother's, circa about 1955. This is an assemblage I created several years ago with various vintage pieces of Christmas decor. Our coffee table in the family room has this music box, which we had given to my grandmother as a gift. I love the winter scene, some of my favorite Christmas books, and this nativity set I painted in 1987 when I was in college, studying to be a teacher. And what I loved was that all of the characters in the nativity are children. A very Virginia Christmas. Here is my tinsel tree adorned with all of my vintage ornaments. Even the star at the top was a 1970s purchase by my grandmother. There are shiny bright bulbs, handcrafted ornaments, wooden ornaments from the 1930s and 40s, some made of paper, clip-on bells and candles. I use the large C7 bulbs to light the tree with the foil coasters around the bulbs, which make a really pretty reflection. My vintage bird cage becomes a lantern. Just a little display of some vintage bulbs and a picture of me with Santa when I was 1. The Christmas Nutshell book collection. A sweet picture of my son and daughter. An electric fireplace with my Mr. and Mrs. Claus girly candles. And above the entryway, some of my putz, houses, and little feather trees. This is a little plastic mistletoe ornament that hung in my nanny's house forever. Lots of kisses were had or taken under that little ornament. These lanterns were also my grandmother's, purchased in the 1960s. And that little Santa was made by my son out of clay when he was in elementary school. This is a stocking that someone knitted. I purchased it at an antique store. It says Mother. I thought it was darling. And another view of our family room. Moving now into my kitchen. I have a food tree in the kitchen. This poor little elf has had too much to eat or drink. But on the food tree, I collect all kinds of beverages and food items and desserts that are meaningful to me and my family. This grandfather clock was made by a family member for my grandmother many, many years ago. And I have some tiny little vintage decor items, some spun cotton, some wooden, some paper, some tiny little bottle trees. And I love to display those tiny little decorations on the edge of the grandfather clock during Christmas. On the bottom shelf there, I have a collection of some of my vintage tins, which actually I leave out all year. Another little assemblage that I did in a coffee cup. And in the background, you can see our Christmas pyramid. Some people call it an Advent pyramid. The candles cause the innards to spin, which is a depiction of the journey into Bethlehem. It was made in Germany and given to us by my husband's mother and her husband probably 25 years ago. This cabinet was hand-built by one of my family members in the 1940s. Of course, here's a very vintage Christmas sign that I made. But in this curio cabinet, I keep all kinds of nostalgic items, but for Christmas I've put in a few little extras. And here is a chef nutcracker. My maternal grandmother had a collection of salt and pepper shakers that I now display in my home. And these are the little Santas that she had. You can see the spaghetti ceramic there on the hat. A little view of our patio outside. And on the kitchen chalkboard, Christmas countdown. These were mine as a child, purchased at the Woolworths. Some of my chocolate molds above the microwave with a little bottle brush tree, making it a little festive while we cook. Candy seems to be a big theme for us in the kitchen this year. All of these table scarves and tablecloths with the bright colors were my nanny's as well. And the coffee station. On the side of the refrigerator, I love to display all of our photo Christmas cards over the years. We even did one during COVID. And this is the latest from 2024. You're not really drinking alone if your cat is home. More of my putz houses and bottle brush trees. This little tree sits in our small foyer. I love the little angels. And this year I decided to put only blue and white chinoiserie ornaments on this tree and a pretty blue velvet bow. The door going onto the patio, that is a live wreath. And a peek in the powder room, which has a few little festive touches here and there. Now we're in the foyer, moving into the dining room. I love this display on the foyer table, all silver and white, wishing peace in the coming year. A beautiful pencil tinsel tree And the only pop of color is the cardinal, which to me represents my nanny. This Lenox tree topper was a gift from my husband's godmother, Aunt Julianne, for our wedding almost 40 years ago. This arrangement smells delicious. Obviously, just oranges with cloves, scented pine cones, some greenery from around my own yard, some dried oranges and lemons, and some cinnamon. Couple more nutcrackers up on top of the china cabinet. My Christmas cactus doesn't show it now, but it bloomed beautifully this year. And I love this little display of brass deer and the Santa with the reindeer, which that part was my grandmother's. Inside the sleigh, I put some tiny little vintage bulbs and a little Santa and a little tree. And there are some glass presents scattered about to reflect the light. Cheers, sláinte. This display on the buffet, I actually leave up through January. Lots of vintage items just kind of thrown here and there in various containers. I love the way the little lights, the little spheres, cause the light to dance off of all the silver and tinsel and metal pieces. My amaryllis bulbs are on their way. They were a gift. Another Christmas cactus that was a gift from one of my girlfriends, beginning to bloom. And our bar. We are Irish and we don't apologize. We like a good libation. And then the wine whispered, "Say what you really think." Even the naughty deserve something nice. And he sees you when you're drinking. Another one of my nutcrackers. And this garland is a Victorian reproduction of a tabby cat with figgy pudding. And it reminds us of our little tabby named Maybelline Grace. And a few little knee hugger elves nestled in there. Another one of my nutcrackers. Some lights in the Norfolk pine. And in the sitting room, here on the table, I have my collection of Radio City Music Hall snow globes. Each one of those was bought in New York City on the day that we visited Radio City Music Hall.